to 8th grade curriculum night. We're sorry that we couldn't meet with you guys in person this year, but we hope that this will be helpful and you'll come away with some information that'll be useful to you and to your 8th grade student. We're going to start with a bit of general information that Ms. Hamilton is going to give you guys that kind of applies to the entire grade level as a whole. And then this information also is going to apply to each of your core classes in 8th grade.
All right, so for the remote and hybrid student grades, Google Classroom is not where your grades are posted. So please refer to Parent Portal for the official record of grades, completed assignments, and missing assignments. Google Classroom is where daily assignments and agendas are posted. Students can mark assignments as finished without actually submitting work. Refer to the agendas to see details of that particular assignment. Submitting late assignments. We have tried to be very flexible with missing assignments during the first quarter as students adjusted to virtual and hybrid learning. Now that we have learned the process and procedures, students will have until Sunday at 8 p.m. to turn in all assignments. Assignments not completed by 8 p.m. on Sunday will be recorded as a 0 in the gradebook. Students are able to contact us via email and Blocksy chat during class. Other teachers use tools such as GroupMe or Remind to provide alternative means of communication. Email and private comments in Google Classroom are also acceptable ways for students to ask questions during class. As usual, the best way for students to get help is to attend and participate in live meets and small group sessions. Attendance for hybrid students on their scheduled day will function like normal school attendance. If students are not present on their scheduled days, they will be marked absent, even if they work from home. Attendance for virtual students is based on communication and participation. If students do not participate in their daily assignments or communicate with us the reason they are unable to, they will be marked absent. Virtual students can be marked absent for individual classes. They are not marked absent for the entire day. Please use the attendance tab in the parent portal. Camera usage. To encourage active student engagement, we would like to strongly recommend that students have their cameras on during class sessions in this second quarter. Encourage them to use the blurred background feature if there are privacy concerns. For dress code, please refer to page 36 in the student handbooks. Hoodies other than Queen's Grant hoodies and jeggings are not allowed. Shirts must always be tucked in. Commitment to excellence contracts. Everyone must have a commitment to excellence contract on file. All contracts are due as soon as possible. If you haven't signed a contract for your student, please do so online with the link that Mrs. Tolchin sends on Sunday messages. For my 8th grade social studies class, scholars will be given quizzes, tests, and/or essays to check for understanding within or at the end of the unit. Scholars will not be given extra credit as each unit creates various opportunities for success. Projects are given with a week or more from the due date, so late work is not accepted. Once again, quarter one grading policy was very flexible to allow students the opportunity to adjust to online learning and then hybrid learning. As we move into quarter two and beyond, 8th grade social studies will strictly follow the NHA policy of all schoolwork being due at Sunday at 8 p.m. Any work not turned in by the deadline will be a 0 grade and will not be able to be made up. You can see your scholars' assignments by checking the To-Do tab in their Google Classroom. This is a layout of the 8th grade curriculum and grading. We will do the Revolution in the New Nation, Expansion and Reform, Civil War and Reconstruction, the Gilded Age, World War I and World War II, the Civil Rights Movement, and then finish up with contemporary United States. The grading policy is assignments and classwork, 25%, quizzes 30, tests and projects 35, and participation 10.
All right, we're going to discuss for a moment 8th grade language arts. First thing you're going to see here are the basics of our ELA curriculum. We no longer use an ELA textbook. Instead, all of our learning is going to be novel-based. We started the year with short stories, and then, as you probably know, we read a nonfiction text. For the rest of the year, we're going to be focused on fiction. We are beginning Chains by Laurie Hill Anderson this week, which is a historical fiction novel that is based in the Revolutionary War. It fits in really well with what the kids are going to be studying in social studies, as does To Kill a Mockingbird, which we will read next, followed by Animal Farm, and then we'll end the year with A Midsummer Night's Dream. All of these books will be provided to students by the school. But if you are able to, it might be a good idea to purchase a copy of the book for your student so that he or she can write in it. I always find that if they're able to take notes on the text and highlight and mark up, that they find that to be really helpful in class. So that may be something to think about if you have the means to do that. And if you have questions about the exact copy so that your students' page numbers match up with our page numbers in class, feel free to ask about that, and I can give you that information. And with those ELA, or those novel studies in ELA, we'll look at fiction, poetry, short stories, and things like that within our novel units that fit in with the same big ideas and themes that fit that unit. And then also nonfiction that kind of supports the time period that that novel takes place. We will have a writing component for each unit that has the same theme. So we'll look at writing poetry during our Shakespeare unit. We'll look at writing satire during our Animal Farm unit, and those will kind of go together. And in that writing unit, we'll also focus on grammar and vocabulary. We're going to be implementing daily time for independent reading during Q2. We did not do that in Q1 in class, and that's something I'm excited to add to our daily agenda this coming week. And then lastly, we'll do IXL lessons each week that either support students who are struggling with a concept or extend learning for kids who are really high and kind of doing really well on a concept. So yeah, IXL is a great way that everybody will get some additional support at their level with whatever part of ELA that they're struggling with or want to gain some expertise on. Assignments and grading are the same for ELA as they are for social studies. So 10% participation, that looks like just daily notes, checks, and things like that. That's not, did they raise their hand in class or anything like that. So that's not verbal participation. That's just notes and things of that sort. And then assignments, quizzes, and tests or assessments. Essays also fit in that test assessment category as well. So throughout the quarter, they'll have writing assignments that will go in as a test grade. For reading with our novels, each student's going to get a calendar so that they know when they need to have certain pages read by, and then I'll email that out, and then it'll be in Google Classroom as well so that everybody knows where they need to be at in their reading. But as a general rule of thumb, students should read about 10 to 15 pages per day to stay on track with the class for the novel study, and they'll usually have time in the class period to read those 10 to 15 pages. This is the same information we went over for social studies. We are very flexible with grading in Q1. In Q2, we want to encourage those good work habits and students making sure that they're staying on top of things. So in Q2, we will be following the NHA policy of schoolwork being turned in by Sunday at 8. If you have questions about whether your scholar has gotten something done, I would recommend emailing on Wednesday so that they have time to make that assignment up before that Sunday deadline.
And now it's back to me, Mrs. Cabezas, for math. And assignments are going to be through 3 different websites. We will be alternating the assignments between the Khan Academy, EdSci, and IXL. Some students will be using IXLs. More advanced students are going to be gravitating between Khan Academy and EdSci. For those students that need a little bit more support and more reinforcement, I will be using IXL as a way to improve their skills and in order to be able to transition into Khan Academy, which is a little bit more complex based type of work. Grading, we have 50% for tests, quizzes, 30%, and the assignments, meaning the daily assignments are corresponding to 20%. Just because you have a huge amount of hundreds on the assignments doesn't mean your grade is going to go really fast into the B's and the A's. You also need to be paying attention and study and taking notes. Whenever I say take note, these notes are going to be really important for reviewing the quizzes and the assessment. Make sure you're taking notes. Start getting into the habits of getting cards and create those notes that are going to be required for you. It's going to make your life very easy when you're getting ready to study. So your main grades are tests and quizzes. You should start getting those study skills built up by writing the notes in the classroom, especially whenever I say this is important, you should put them in a note card. Now, the weekly calendar, making emphasis. By now, the majority of the students really know where the Pacing weekly calendar is located in the Google Classroom. It's usually located under communication, student communication tab in classwork. And I usually post it on Friday at 5 p.m. go live in Google Classroom. The Pacing calendar is the best way for you to keep track of your daily assessments, on upcoming quizzes and assessments, or review days, especially if you're thinking about missing schools or arriving late for the live sessions. I want to make emphasis on the live sessions. Whenever I start the teaching in the classroom and I have students coming into the live session like 15, 20 minutes late, it makes it very difficult for me to be gravitating from the front of the class to the back of the class and letting you into the Google Meet when I'm already into the lessons. So from now on, if you are not on time, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let you in because I cannot be coming back and forth. It's extremely disrupted too, because as I'm teaching, I have students popping in like 15, 20 minutes late, and the beep that it makes, we can hear it all over the classroom. So if you're not on time, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be running back and forth to the back of the class trying to log you into the Google Meet. You should be on time all the time, every day. Curriculum, this is for Core 1 and Core 2. Our first NC check-in, which is a state test, is November 10. I'm going to do a deep review this following week from November 2nd until November the 9th. So any information, any notes, you should be able to be ready to start taking notes in preparation for that test. We're already about to get into Unit 4, which is linear equations. So Quarter 2 is Unit 4, 5, and 6, including 7. And our next NC check-in should be in January if they haven't changed the date yet. For the algebra, We have 12 units. Remember, I want to make emphasis that algebra, you're going through 2 school years in one. You're doing 8th grade maths and you're doing 9th grade maths. It's an honors class and it's a credit class too. It's a high school credit. So you should start be more on time, building those note-taking study habits, and start organizing your work and utilizing the Pacing Weekly Calendar. I have students in the algebra not doing any assignment whatsoever. That's gonna be really difficult to keep up with the pace because the entire curriculum is built up, and we have 12 units to go through. So I don't have enough time, not enough wiggle room to, okay, I'm going to spend this one more week going through the same concept. I can't. We don't have enough time. We need to move on. So by now, I want you to keep in mind that assignments are no longer going to be accepted after the past due date, as my previous teammates just reinforced. Is building more work for you. It's going to be almost impossible to keep up because I'm about to get into the 9th grade curriculum, and we have a new curriculum that is really heavy. It's entirely wording, and if you don't take your notes and study and spend at least 35 an hour with the subject, it's going to be very difficult for you to keep up.
Mr. Myers is with his 7th grade teammate since he is a 7th grade homeroom teacher. So I told him I would touch on 8th grade science for just a minute. His policies for school work, turning things in, of course, are going to mirror the rest of 8th grade as far as they have that Sunday night at 8 p.m. deadline. And then here you have his list of topics that are covered in 8th grade. I do know 8th grade science does have check-ins and EOGs, which is unlike the other middle school science grades. So that's something to just be aware of, that there will be EOGs and check-ins for science this year. In quarter 1, our 8th graders covered chemistry and energy resources. I believe they also finished the Earth's hydrosphere. I heard some talk of oceans and things of that sort in quarter 1. So these are the units that they finished during quarter 1. And then these guys are moving on to quarter 2 in social studies this week. And then during quarter 3, we'll have them back in science, and they'll go through the Earth's geologic history, microbiology, and then biotechnology as well. And then Ms. Hamilton, I'm not sure, but usually they end up right before the EOG back with Mr. Myers for a review.
Yes, we're not certain about that this year as far as movement goes.
Gotcha. But we'll, of course, get them reviewed for all that, even if maybe they're in your room or my room doing that. Of course, they have Study Island, which is a big part of their science curriculum. And historically, that Study Island helps a lot, and most everybody really does great on their science EOG. And then they end the year with ecosystems, biologic earth history, and human health. And then so science procedures, these are the things that these guys are doing in class on a daily basis. Edpuzzle is a short video where the video pauses and there are questions that they have to answer before they are able to continue watching the video. And then that generates a grade for them based on the questions. And then, of course, chapters in the textbook, Study Island, which all of our 8th graders should be familiar with by now, since they did that in 7th grade as well. And then grades, Edpuzzle, and textbook grades for the week are posted the following Wednesday, and then Study Island grades are posted on Fridays. And that is the end of science, it appears. You guys want to add anything? I think we covered everything pretty well. I think the biggest takeaway should be that Number one, coming to those live sessions if your student is remote or when your student is not at school. And number two, keeping track of those deadlines, because for quarter two, things are going to be less flexible as we encourage all of our 8th graders to kind of start taking responsibility for those sorts of things, deadlines, and having things turned in on time. We are really appreciative that you guys took the time to watch this. If you have questions about anything from our PowerPoint or anything we talked about, feel free to email any one of us, and we will be happy to elaborate on anything you have questions about.